The first day, there was an exercise that would just stand in front of your partner, look at them in the eye for a while, and then just touch shoulder one time, and then the arm, and then with just no reason, no apparent reason. I started sobbing, crying like a baby in front of this other dude, who also started crying.
The first event that really marked was an event called Brazil Central. It was very artsy. That's how I like to think about it. And that's my inspiration then for BraZouky. When I created BraZouky, I'm like, this event will never be in a ballroom or in a community center that has no personality.
Sometimes we have the time, it's hard to get the immersion. Sometimes the immersion is just the name immersion, but not enough time.
And literally, there was one day that I taught the 10 a.m. workshop, and my partner and I, we arrived in the venue and the social was still going.
And back then, I started hearing the myth and the legend of the Polish followers. And feeling how they moved was crazy to me.
Because if you go to the third song is a marriage. It was the expression. Oh, they just danced the third song. You see? Third song, guys. That's it. Everybody's already watching, talking, taking pictures, booking the wedding day and everything.
Well, like you said, in Rio, we won 2 songs, 3 songs tops. 4 is like, oh my God, we are completely in love.
Hello everybody, and welcome back. My name is Alisson Sanji, and let's welcome back our beautiful co-host, Gui Prada. Hello, Gui.
Hello, Alisson. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to ZoukNerds.
In today's episode, we're gonna take a journey down the memory lane and talk about a festival or a weekender or a retreat, some sort of event that stays here in our heart. And why? We find that this is very interesting because very, very often people come to us for advice on what kind of festivals they should attend. And if you go back, there are many episodes where we talk about the logistics, the economics, the locations, the different styles. But today, we want to be a little bit more personal and talk about our own favorites of all time. So let's get started with this, Guy. Which one comes to your mind first that marked you in any way?
Yeah. It was not a festival, but the first event that I've been that was Brazilian Zouk focused, that marked me a lot was when I participated in the first retreat that Xandy Liberato facilitated in Valencia in Spain. The summer of 2016. Europe summer. So I think... or June, July. And it was my very first exposure to dancing Brazilian Zouk abroad, to dancers of countries that I have never, met anyone from that country. People from Poland, people from Denmark, all places, all different parts of Europe.
So first time outside of Brazil?
First time. Very, very first time. So Brazilian Zouk events,
Okay.
I used to go to Buenos Aires for tango stuff, but not for tango events. I would go for the milongas, event. That was the one. And it was special because it was a pilot. It was a first retreat. So it was a pilot of something that he's still doing. I think, of course, changed a lot over the years. This is 10 years. Oh my God, 10 years. And it was invitation only. Brenda told me about Xandy. She was really excited about him and whatever he was bringing and all these amazing things that were coming up. And she was able to put me in the events. And he was one of the craziest, newest things I've ever done up to that point. And it marked me a lot because I left that retreat having accessed feelings, notions about movement, about connecting with another person at a level that I haven't experienced yet, and at an emotional level that I haven't experienced yet. The things that I felt, things that I've seen, it was all very incredible, which then made me make a decision to do the second trip abroad to the Warsaw Zouk Festival in February of 2017. So that was my very first ever Brazilian Zouk Festival. Yeah. So I had my first retreat, mind blowing. And then I went to my first festival in Poland in February of the next year. And it was like
if you are a ZoukNerds fan or addicted, you may know where this is going.
Yes, man. I probably talked about this before here. I think I did. And it was the complete opposite of the retreat in this sense. The music that they were playing, how people were dancing the dance. We had like a very hype music room and a very melodic, lyrical music room. And it was very hard for me to find something in between. So coming from the retreat and then going to the festival, it was such a contrast, and it was a little confusing to me. Yeah, because I was getting introduced to the international scene, to the international Brazilian Zouk scene, because all that I knew up to that point, it was how I was to dance in Rio. The first time I went to São Paulo to dance Brazilian Zouk, it was 2018, I think. First time I went to São Paulo. So all I knew about Brazilian Zouk was like what I experienced in Rio. So everything was very new, very magical. I needed to make sense of a lot of things. For you?
For me, before we get into the details, for me, the first event that really marked my professional life and my dance life that I can remember was an event called Brasil Central.
Famous.
Very, very famous for the OGs in the dance community. It was an event that was held in Brisbane, in Australia. And the reason why it was very transformative for me was because at that point, I was starting my professional career, traveling and teaching in different cities. And at that event, I saw a level of teaching, a level of organization, a level of commitment from the students, a different set of venue because it was an old museum building, beautiful setup. So to me, it kind of opened up my idea of what a dance event should be. So by today's standards, that was a dance festival. But it didn't feel like that. It felt like an arts festival, kind of very chill, super, super organized. But at the same time, it didn't feel like we are in a hotel ballroom type of thing. Yeah, it was very artsy. That's how I like to think about it. And that's my inspiration then for BraZouky. When I created BraZouky, I'm like, this event will never be in a ballroom or in a community center that has no personality. Because Brazil Central had that personality. It felt like you are in this art conservatory, dance conservatory. I think that's how you call it. A place where you can see sometimes in the movies, those big windows, that building that was built 200 years ago, that type of feeling. So for me, that was the event that really marked me at that time. But then years later, the second one was again similar to you in Europe, which was the Prague Zouk Congress, which for those of you who are, again, have been to the community for a while, that was the yearly meeting of all international Zouk dancers and teachers. Yeah. There were like 200 teachers, 1,000 attendees plus. The event ran for like a whole week, and social dancing never stopped until the next day first workshop. And literally, there was one day that I taught the 10 a.m. workshop, and my partner and I, we arrived in the venue and the social was still going. And then I talked to the organizers, Carlos da Silva and Fernanda, and I had to ask them, what do I do? And they're, it's fine. Just tell them, hey guys, the class is going to start in 5 minutes. So if you're here social dancing, get ready for the class.
The addiction is as old as time.
Yes. So that was a whole thing that I never saw in Brazil. I never saw in Australia. And it's a different type of event. It was an event that all that people want to do is to socialize and to dance. Brazil Central was like this arts event where everybody's like so addicted that they did every single class with every single teacher, and they trained, and in the evening, they're just social dancing with everybody. The energy, the vibes were great. So those are the two events that really marked me for different reasons. I think that if we go into more like the emotional side or the teaching side or the dancer side, we can talk about other events.
Yes.
But I have a question for you, Gui. With the retreat event, what was the big shift for you between the dance that you learned in Rio and that you're used to in Rio, and then the dance that you experienced at the retreat with Xandy?
Oh,
because I feel like there was a new chapter at that moment.
yeah, 100%. First, I was not immersed in Brazilian Zouk as I am today. Far from it back then. 10 years ago, 2016, let's say right now we are in May, the end of May of 2026. In the end of May of 2016, like my life was completely different dance-wise, completely different, not in general, but dance-wise. So I was much more immersed in the other dances. And then Brazilian Zouk was one of the dances that I used to do. When I get to the retreat and I see how the Europeans were dancing. And that was already very different.
Especially in 2016.
Yes, very different. And back then, I started hearing the myth and the legend of the Polish followers. The Polish followers.
Yeah.
And then at that event, we had, I think, 3 or 4 very incredible Polish followers. And feeling how they moved was crazy to me. The upper body movements and the connection and everything, like the closeness and the whole engagement of the dance was so different from what I was used to. That was one thing. Then is the content itself. It was much more subtle. It was as if I was doing the labs at Jaimarosha at a much quieter level, because the labs that I was used to as a bolsista, the labs were more about taking stuff out and becoming something. There was a lot of embodiment, embodying archetypes and contact improv. And it was similar to that, but in a more subtle way. So it was awakening subtleties in the body. Each day was an element of nature. So we had the fire day, the water day, the air day. And each one of them was awakening different sensations in the body. It's funny because I've been cleaning my Google Drive recently, and I found my diary of the retreats, what I was writing back then. And as I was reading what I was writing, I was constantly surprised by the things that was happening to me, because the first day, there was an exercise that would just stand in front of your partner, look at them in the eye for a while, and then just touch shoulder one time, and then the arm, and then we just, no reason, no apparent reason. I started sobbing, crying like a baby in front of this other dude, who also started crying. No reason. I left the workshop and I was a little stunned, like what just happened, First day, not even first day, it's like day 0, arrival day. Let's talk about, but let's do one dynamic, one workshop here for us to get to know each other. And then I was sobbing. So what changed for me was the possibility to access deeper layers in the metaphysical connection with your partner through the body, through a choice of movement, to a choice of touch, to a choice of connecting physically, that you would go deeper. So I went back to Rio and I was already dancing different with me. And people were noticing something was different. I was already known in Rio in my circles, in the Jaimarosha dance circles and the branches of the schools that the teachers from Jaimarosha opened. So, Ponto de Encontro was the name of a school, Fabiano and Juliano, another school. And I was dancing with those people and they were noticing something was different. And I could not explain what was different, but they were feeling something different. So that was the biggest change that I felt after doing the retreat. And I noticed what it did was nowadays I see as like something genius, He took the connection aspects of the dance, like connection to another human being, and he made it into a whole thing. Yeah. And translated it into movement. How through movement you can bring them up. You can connect in that way. So it was really, really crazy to me. I transformed the way I dance after that experience.
Was that the birth of the Gui that we know now? Or did that Gui exist before?
It exists before, for sure. What I think it did, it was a hypercharged. It was like it boosted.
Gave permission.
And the thing is, I was not at all planning on teaching. Not at all. This was before my life. It was my life before my life. I was not at all planning on teaching. It was just something that I embodied and I was using in my social dance. When I moved to the US and I started dancing with people, they were like, there is something, what is it that you're doing? Tell me what it is. And then I'll have informal conversations with people. When I started teaching, then the thing changed. Then I needed to create a system on how to convey these things.
How do I do?
How do I explain
what I do?
It's actually pretty hard. And I don't think I found a way yet to fully convey that, because it's much more subtle and metaphysical. So I think the retreat environment allows you to get there because you have time, And I think we're able to get there at Xandy's retreat because every dancer that were there had some level of good experience with the dance. So we had people who knew the technique in a deeper way, So now I know that I don't know because, it's not the truth. But to my understanding, when you have a good grasp of the technique, when you are, like my contact improv master teacher says, when you are an able body, like the body that can produce movement in a very conscious, mindful, aware way, you can access those layers a lot quicker. You just need time, immersion. And that's the thing it's hard to get. The time and the immersion. Sometimes we have the time, it's hard to get the immersion. Sometimes the immersion is just the name, immersion, but not enough time. And sometimes we are lacking the awareness of the technique to go beyond the technique. And the technique that I mean is like the tools of the dance, the stepping, the counting, the timing, the rhythm, the body movement technique, the footwork technique. It's just like how your body produces the movements. And that's what I mean by technique. And yeah, in the retreat, everybody knew how to do a lateral, everybody knew how to do a bonus, everybody, like the basic stuff was there, very solid. And then we were able to go deep. So that's how he marked me so much.
For me, I think Brazil Central was similar in the way of that depth, but it was more in the depth of the dance and understanding the dance. Because at that point, similar to you, Brazilian Zouk wasn't my entire life over the 10 years before. It was pretty much all of the styles. And I got really into Zouk and I wanted to get better at it and understand it. And when I went to that event, there were so many top tier teachers.
Yeah.
Like Brazil Central, they had 5 or 6 couples and that's it. And they were all the masters from Brazil.
Top dogs.
So you had like 8 classes with every master throughout the weekend.
A lot.
So every class was like this history lesson or this lesson that really taught you the difference between things. And then at that point, it made me fall in love deeper with Zouk because I understood that there are so many ways to dance this dance and they are all good. So from that moment, I was like, okay, so I don't have to worry so much about, am I doing this style correctly or this style correctly? I should probably learn all of them and then see what works for me. In that moment, that's the epiphany that I had through that event. And every year that I went back, I was just excited to be there because I'm like, yes, in this event, I'm going to get to the next level of understanding of what to do next.
And were you teaching or you attended?
The first one, I was not. I was like a local teacher / promoter. So I didn't get a teaching slot. But then on the second one, they already asked me to teach. And then from then, all of the other ones. And then Prague Zouk Congress, for me, I think it was a transformation in how I see social dancing. Because up until that point, I had danced with people in Brazil and Australia. And they're already very different. But then when you go to Prague Zouk Congress, which was this event that people come from every corner of the world, your social dancing gets challenged every single minute.
Yep.
But for me, a challenge is the most exciting thing that you can give me. If you give me a challenge, I'm really excited. If you give me the answer, I'm bored. So that, to me, was like, oh my God, I have so much to explore and to learn throughout this event. And that also was the first event that I remember that people were dancing multiple songs. Because up until then, and I'm talking about 2010, 2011, that's the first time I went there. And back in Australia, it was like one song, high five, change partners. One song, high five, change partners. If you know the person and there is some connection and you guys are having fun, by the end of the first song, you kind of like, in a shy way, you say, hey, would you mind like one more song?
Yeah.
And then you have that one more song, but then from then on, you step away because you don't want people to think that you're like flirting with them, or that you're trying to do something there. Because if you go to the third song is a marriage. It was the expression. Oh, they just danced the third song. Hey, you see, third song, guys. That's it. Everybody's already watching, talking, taking pictures, booking the wedding day and everything.
I remember
that. So when I went to Europe, and they were already doing that, but in a very chill way, in a way that like, hey, we're just connecting, we're just having fun. I was very surprised, very impressed, but I still didn't get used to it at that event.
Yeah, man.
I couldn't get used to it because my brain was like, you're a teacher here, you're dancing 2 or 3 songs with somebody, somebody's gonna tell the organizer or another teacher that you're hating on somebody and you're gonna get into trouble. And I was like too scared.
That reminds me that in the Xandy retreat, the first one, that was also, I think, one of the first times, or maybe the first time that I see somebody dancing with someone for like hour more. You know, like go to the social, the person start dancing, you get out, drink some water, go back, they're still dancing. The social is empty. That couple is still dancing. It was one of the first times, I think it was the first time that I saw that. And it was, to me, also something new, very new as well. In Brazil, like you said, in Rio, you won 2 songs, 3 songs tops. Or 4 is like, oh my God, we are completely in love.
But I think there's a difference in Rio. Because I don't know how it is right now, but back then, the DJs were mixing so much that 5 songs was equal to like 2 songs of normal length. From the parties that I went in Rio, the DJs were mixing every minute and a half. So like they weren't playing a full song. So I never counted as a full song because like the first times that I went to Rio, I was asking people, I said, hey, what's the etiquette here? I see people dancing multiple songs. They're like, yeah, because the songs are too short. So we just like dance 3, 5, and then we change. It's not that you're dancing 5 songs. You're dancing the equivalent of 1 long song or 2 like short songs.
Yeah.
It was weird.
That makes sense because my attendance in Brazilian Zouk socials, they were at the dance studio level. You know, I would go to the socials that the dance studios would hold. In Rio, I don't know how it is right now, but used to have many dance studios spread across the city. And each then had their own socials for their own students. And I would prefer to go to those socials because the music was way more friendly in the sense that I knew the songs because they tend to be the songs of class. When I used to go to Zouk in the Zouk no Cib, it was completely different. And it was, for me, not very good. I would much more prefer the socials in the studios. And it's funny because I was talking to a friend in São Paulo last week, and she recently became a bolsista in a studio in São Paulo. And she was telling me the same situation, that she is loving to go to the socials of the studio. And then she's looking for socials of other studios and going to the socials of the studios and not so much going to the general big socials. Music is more friendly. People are more, you know, the people, they are there for different reasons. And the whole vibe is different.
It's a family dancing together versus a social. It's like people from everywhere coming and dancing with the people they already know. It's kind of like a fish market.
Exactly.
Different. But also, I think the experience that I had in Rio is not your local experience because at that point, I used to go to Rio in like the season that I avoid at all costs since then. December, January, February. I was in Rio for like 2.5 months attending everything that happens. So at that point, yes, I mean, the DJs are just going ham every night in every social. So it was not a studio party. Hard Rock Cafe.
Hard Rock Cafe, I went. Hard Rock Cafe was actually my favorite of the open ones because in the corner there was a samba forró room that you could go and, you know, take a break and then go back. And it didn't last very long, unfortunately, but it used to be my favorite one. My experience in this whole thing of festivals and events is kind of crazy now that I think about it because of how quickly it changed. You know, I went from going to one retreat in a year, and then February of the next year, I go to my first festival, and then jump to September, I go to my first event in the US, Interfusion, that had Zouk. This is when I see Rio and Jessica for the first time, when I see them dancing for the first time.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, what is this? You know, not being known at all, so have that experience, and then going right next to Interfusion, I went to Boston for the Boston Festival that had Brazilian Zouk forró. That's when I see William Paloma for the first time. Again, not known, just there in the corner, in the dark corner.
Hugging everybody.
You know, and then I meet people from Minneapolis, meet people from Austin, and the whole thing starts. And then going to Los Angeles Zouk Congress. Oh no, first I go to the first Zouk Heat. And then I'm already invited as a teacher. There is even a picture of me using the instructor shirt, doing this, like pointing to the instructor on the back. There's a post on my Instagram if you want to check it out. It was my very first moment teaching at an event. And Zouk Heat was a smaller weekender at the time. And then there I meet Shani. And Shani invites me to go to LA Zouk Congress. Then I teach one class there. And then the ball starts rolling, but everything is so fast.
Yes.
You know? But every experience in these festivals were showing me the world. I was basically seeing the world for the first time.
It's fascinating, confusing, exciting, scary, all at the same time, right?
All at the same time. The fascinating portion, it was how different the dance felt from place to place. That was the thing. And the reaction that people would have to the way that I've been dancing my whole life. And I would just carry on dancing like that. And the reaction to it, and, you know, like just observing people dancing until the sun rises. That was also something new to me. we wouldn't dance until the sunrise in Brazil. The more that I went was 4 a.m. More than that, no. So that was new too.
Yeah. But now, I think we cannot finish this episode without going back to Warsaw Zouk Festival. Because we left it as a cliffhanger before. And now I think it's the time to talk about how opposite that was from the experience that you had in the retreat. Let's spill the tea.
Oh my gosh. The big opposition. The retreats, we work on the subtle things. So from what we were eating to what we were drinking during the retreat, everything was natural, very, organic and all this stuff. And then I get to the festival, and there is, at the time, I think they probably had like a vodka company sponsoring. So they had like a stand of vodka that you could get vodka there. People were really dressed up. And it felt a lot like a club to me. My memory of a club was awakened when I was there. There was the room where the vodka stand was, and that was the more clubby-like room. And it was very overwhelming to me, especially because the music that they were playing. I remember recording an audio message to a friend and sending it like, look what they're listening to. Listen to what they're listening to. Oh my God, it's crazy. How do I dance to that? I don't know how to dance to that. So in the whole 4 days of festival, I think I danced with 4 people, 4 or 5 people.
And that's somebody from Brazil who saved money to go to Europe, international flights, hotel accommodation, pass.
The whole thing.
Wow.
The whole thing. I was lawyer at the time. You need to align your vacation with the thing, and this is a whole process. And the other room, very lyrical. And I danced with 2 of the 4 or 5 followers that I danced. They danced with me. I started crying. And that was new to me as well. Because why are they crying? Did I do anything wrong? Blah, blah. And then I understand it's a mix of the music with the connection, with how they are feeling already. So it was a whole thing. And the other thing too is that they would open the window from time to time.
Europe, natural AC.
And it was so cold, you're freezing there. And people in the window like talking. I was like, oh my God, these people are made of a different material.
That's so funny because the first time I went to Europe in a congress in the European winter, because coming from São Paulo and then from Australia, I never experienced that type of winter.
Yeah.
And then you go outside and you see people, and I kid you not, guys, it looks like cartoon because there's smoking just like going out of their body. I'm like, wait, is that really, really happening? I don't know. I'm sure it's normal for everybody who lives in Europe. But for somebody to go be like, things are just, yeah. And it was always fun to do European tours because of the window thing.
Yes.
Because it's like, hey guys, let's put the music down. We need to cool the room down. Okay, turn off the music to not wake up the neighbors. Exactly. Open the windows, get the cold air in, close the windows, music up.
That was interesting. And I was freezing. I was very quickly freezing because I was used to the heat. So it was heat inside.
You're fine.
Just another Tuesday.
It's like Rio.
And then they opened the thing. Oh, good. Froze.
And it was like February, January. So like minus 10, minus 15 outside.
It was one of my Celsius times like really experiencing the cold. So everything was new. Everything was new. I was used to one thing and then it was completely different from what I was used to. So it was strange. It was very strange. And then I realized that what I experienced in the retreat was a very specific container, a very intentional container. Because my impression was, everything is like that
in Europe.
Yes. Everything is like that outside, in the wild, big wild worlds. That's how things are, but they're not at all. So it was good because I realized how special something is when it's created with such a specific intention. and how different it feels. And being outside of what normally is the general experience. So I realized that was the festival-like experience. And it's more about providing people with the party experience, providing people with more classes, with more teachers, with more instructors. So it's just a different kind of event. It's just, I didn't know about it.
What would be one thing that if at that event if that thing was different, it would have made your entire experience better?
Music.
Music?
If they had played one thing I know,
that's one traditional.
Just one. Guys, I went 4 days listening to songs that I didn't know. All of them. I didn't know any of the songs.
And I think that was the time of dubstep, right?
Maybe. I think so. Because
there was a lot of dubstep in 2015, 2014.
Drop.
Yes, it was the dubstep era.
Yeah, I needed to calibrate and re-energize to enter the room again because I didn't know any of them. So if the music was recognizable, I think my experience would have been quite different.
And the lyrical room didn't work for you?
Nope, not at all. I didn't know how to dance to that. I did not know how to move my body to that in a way that made sense. I used to have these philosophical conversations with my peers in Rio. Why do we do the movements that we are doing? Because when I was learning Brazilian Zouk, the practically things were the things. I remember watching Adílio Porto videos, and he was already in the Netherlands, and try to copy the things, and I not wanting to do it very much because it was all practically things, and my teachers in Rio, the same.
Lídio and Monique,
Renato, Evandra, so all names that are not in the mainstream at all, people who are really local teachers. And then understanding that I will do the movement combined with the music and how the music inspired my body to move. And then I go to the place, to the event, where the songs I don't know, and they don't inspire my body to move. So I literally don't know how to dance to those songs, how to step, couldn't find the rhythm.
It was like going to a completely different dance festival that you've never learned before.
Exactly. It was almost like I went to the opera. So people are there like playing the violin and the things, and somebody's asking me to dance Brazilian Zouk to that. I didn't know how.
Because they were probably also playing opera. It happens.
Sometimes
it happens in Europe.
Sometimes yes. So I didn't know how to dance to that. I remember a friend that I met in the retreat, very excited, brought another friend for me to dance with her in the lyrical room. And we started dancing, and we could not find a way to connect. We could not. It was one of the very few times in my life as a dancer, that we agreed that it was not working.
Like, yeah, we're done, right?
Yeah.
It's not working.
And then we stopped, we both almost at the same time. Thank you. Like midway through the second song. Or not even maybe before. And I was confused, like why my friend liked to dance with her so much. I could not understand. So it was, again, all so new to me. It was in the Xandy retreat, the first time in a social that a guy invited me to dance. Very first time. Also very unusual to me. So I think what is new is what we remember the most. And what is new and what is the first one. Like the first ones are the ones we probably remember the most, are the ones that I remember the most. And the ones that are new are the ones that I remember the most.
Well, that's a good summary of our wild, wild past.
Yes.
And the things that we've been through. And once again, for you guys, thank you for being here and sharing this moment with us. Please help us grow this community and grow this podcast by following, sharing, liking, subscribing, doing all the things. And keep connected with us either in the Facebook groups or the Instagram. And send us questions, comments, topics, ideas. So then we can talk about it here. And we'll be seeing you on the next one. So thank you. Beijos, abraços, and ciao. Ciao.